Hi, this is Kim Watson. Welcome to Friday's live trading video. Now, we call this live trading. That's if there is some trading to be had. This morning, I was looking at the pound, and from the higher time frames, it looked like we were starting maybe a push back up towards its R1. It's since sold. It broke over. It sold off very quickly. I don't trust these early movements quite often for good reason, but this one seems to be going and going at this stage. It had a slight pause at this point here, but it was moving into on my one of my indicators oversold, and I'm not going to sell it into an oversold position. I would want it to retrace further, come back to the prior highs at least, maybe back to that 5-minute 50, but certainly back to these highs, and it's not done that. So I've got to sit and wait and be patient. Now, this video may end up with me being patient for a lot of the day. Yesterday was a very choppy day in the markets, and then suddenly went about 3 o'clock. I will be, if there's a trade to be had that I like, I will take it. If it's not, I won't. So I apologize now, because I did get some sort of feedback last time. Well, you didn't take a trade. That was a waste of a video. But we want to be honest with you. If there's no trades coming through, I won't show only put these videos out on the days that we don't get a trade coming through. And when I say the market could go either way, it could go up and down, yeah, sure, it can do that anytime. But what I mean by that is that these markets aren't particular. They're choppy, they're spiky, they're flying from one direction to another quite a bit. Yesterday, if you look at yesterday's price action in some of these markets, I'll just come back onto this 60-minute chart, and for the good part of the morning there, it was chopping backwards and forwards, and eventually, as I said, went at that 3 o'clock. Now, we didn't get a sort of a reversal until later in the evening, and it started really pushing up strongly. Now, we've got to contend with what we've got on these markets. So yes, they can go up and down. If you look at this market, this isn't a 30-minute chart admittedly, but if you look at these bigger charts, yeah, there's some trends in there. I quite like this downward trend in cable, but intraday it's chopping around. If it can get a decent retrace in and starts looking bearish again, then yes, I will look at short side. But at this stage, sitting on my hands here, waiting. If it just carries on without me, there is an untouched weekly pivot below. It may just sell off to that sort of point. If it starts putting proper reversals in, I will look. As I say, I've got it oversold. It may not give me an entry because of the target back for that reversal isn't that far. It's only back into the midst of this. But it's a waiting game, and if it means I don't take another trade or don't speak to you until about 3 o'clock, it's currently 8:38 as I'm recording this. That's what it's going to be. But it's realistic trading, not just set up and only giving you reports and videos when we get a good trade. So please bear with me. Thank you. As well. Okay, so this morning we never got a setup. We looked at, and cable at this point down here was quite oversold. I was looking for the potential of a more significant retrace. The only thing is, by the time with the way I look to trade, I'm looking at a minimum of risk reward of 2 reward to 1 risk. The problem is, when it was looking like it was going to get close to triggering the trade from what I was setting, the target wasn't giving us enough target, so I just left it alone. And the part of the thing is, when you get into this sort of situation of the day, often you get into a bit of a doldrums. Now I'm looking at the pound. I'm going to just switch this across to the euro and just show you the doldrums. There you go. Much more sort of, still a bit of a trend down, but quite dull overall. Now looking at the pound here, so it did continue rolling off. Out of my sort of trading time, it eventually just rolled over again there. So I didn't want to be selling into an oversold period, but it did work off a bit further, but then rolled off and got even, it's actually not got any further oversold. Actually, it's just run down, hit the daily S1 there. Now put a bit of a reversal in around this area. Again, it's in a period I don't normally trade, so haven't touched it. Why don't I trade in these areas? It's just that there's so many false starts. It's just not between 10, 11:30. You just get too many false starts. Now this is starting to move now. It may be that we'll see a bigger correction on this pound as we go through the day, but that's where we are at the moment. Now will I look to sell into the pound because of what it's doing on the bigger time frames? Possibly. Because it has got this sort of shape. This morning I was looking much more on the bullish zone because of the, well, purely when we were looking this morning, it was a bullish sort of bull flag sort of picture there. It just chipped through it, but then just rolled. Now it may be we've sort of double bottomed here, and this could be putting a bottom in here. So I'm looking, as this runs up, what its reaction is to the 8. There may become a time when I say, well, actually I'll jump on board on this and try and ride it back at least towards those highs of earlier this morning or through the Asian session. On the euro dollar, looking at the euro dollar, and it's the euro dollars. I find the euro is I've been bearish on the euro pound for a few days now. I just took a bit of profit off it this morning in the trading room, but there's a call I did on Wednesday, but that's very, very slow. 24 pips on the first exit on it because it's just been so tight. But the euro itself has been equally running down here. It's doing an equal sort of position as to what the pound is doing here at the moment. So we've got this double bottomish sort of pattern coming in here. It wasn't this morning. It wasn't as bullish. It rolled over at 7 o'clock, and the 7 o'clock candle broken the sort of trend. Looked like it was pretty much in trend. It's one of those that you sort of, well, maybe if I was quick enough, I could have got into it a little bit later, just after 8 o'clock on the trend break there actually, but missed it at the time. It's just the way it goes. Looking at it now, I really want to sell it as opposed to buy it, so I'll wait on the euro, and I'll be a seller if it gets back. Maybe to that, towards that 60.21. I may look at the shorter time frame here. I like the 30 minutes sometimes for getting into trades. Maybe even looking at the 30.21. So I'll be potentially selling it at those sort of levels. We'll just see what 12 o'clock brings us. So looking here, we just had the euro pushing back towards its 30.20 simple. Just looking at a potential sell point here if it starts breaking down, just waiting for a confirmation of break of this previous 5-minute bar. We'd be looking to a short back down towards the lows there, stop just above the near-term highs here. So it's just air kissed the 30-minute 20 moving average. Actually not quite caught it, but traders sometimes come in a little bit early. It's just broken through the 21, so exponential. So looking to sell on the break. Okay, so short on the euro dollar, stop just above the 200. I'll just give the actual numbers on just 1 second. Okay, just to confirm this short position just taken, I'll show you on the bigger time frame in a moment, but stop is just above here at 108.53. The profit target is just around about this sort of area down here, back down towards its S1. So that's really what I'm looking at. It's given roughly, well, it's given exactly a 2-to-1 risk reward on that trade. So that's the small time picture. I was looking at it from a bigger picture here. There was no divergence at the lows here on the RSI, so just looking to see if this just carries on pitching down and carrying on this sort of bigger trend. The bigger trends you see through the 4-hourly time frame, and dailies sort of being a bit bitty, but weeklies. So it's a game of the bigger trends, really, just playing with a bigger trend from the top side down. So just got stopped on this short on the euro, just pushed on through the 200, through the 50 MA there, so just pushed on through, and at the moment holding fire. There's too many intermediate type moves running through the markets. We're not too far away from the sort of upper trend line here. In fact, it maybe is just pushing. Actually, it's not pushing in, it's pushed through. So just push through that trend line there. So a near-term change of trend. Long-term remains messy, but it was in this downward trend. But even that looks like it could be breaking from the highs there now. Okay, just looking at the euro dollar here on this alternative second short potential. It's run up into this 60.50, so I'm waiting just to see what happens here. It's 130 at the moment. We might have a bit of volatility around here. Let me just check in terms of news flows today. There was nothing. No, that's fine. Didn't think there was anything, but just needed to check. So just looking to see if we get a breakdown here. If it just reacts here, breaks down, I'm going to have another attempt at shorting this market. Maybe not expecting it to come right the way down to those absolute lows again, but it will be at least back towards that 550 zone. So I have a ticket ready. The stop will be just above the highs here, so it's just really trying to play that bigger trend here, and so I'm just about to press the button to sell. Not quite happening for me. Certainly teasing, isn't it? So just triggered a sell point at 108.63. Stop only needs to be, if I'm wrong here, I may as well just be stopped out quickly. So the 108.75 area is sufficient. So again, it's a 12 pip stop. Target wise, I'm looking at the initial. I'll take this in two halves. If it comes to me, I will look at this 5-minute 50 that's looping around at the bottom here, and then see if we can run it right the way back down. So there we go. Okay, so stopped on this euro dollar trade here. So it's that's me for the day. I'm not going to go chasing. Certainly not chasing that anymore. Unfortunately, it had an initial reaction to that 60.50, but this afternoon it looks like it's going to be pushing through. It's gone out of trend altogether. This, I say altogether, it's been quite clear, but clear downward trend up until now. But certainly this afternoon we're seeing many of these markets pushing through. It's 2:30 or 2:26. The equity markets are about to open in 3 minutes or 4 minutes, so we will maybe get a bit more volatility here, but taking trades any later than this, unless a peach was to show up, I can't say I will be interested at this stage. So that's pretty much it. So it's another non-trading, sorry, no, we've had two trades. What am I talking about? We've had two trades, but unfortunately two small losses today, net 24 pips down. That's the way it runs sometimes, and it's a difficult old market this week. As I said yesterday, turned into a lot of chop. Today looks a lot cleaner. It was clean, but never gave me an opportunity. But there we are. I wish you a great weekend. Bye for now.